It's January 5th, 1720. The breaking news of the day is moving across the globe, transmitted through heavy wooden machinery. This is our primary source for today's broadcast, the American Weekly Mercury, printed right here in Philadelphia on Tuesday, January 5th. Colonial America is often pictured as a remote, disconnected frontier, weeks away from the nearest neighbor and months away from the rest of civilization. However, this newspaper functioned as a node in a vast transatlantic information network, receiving and reprinting dispatches that had traveled thousands of miles by sea. On today's docket, massive macroeconomic engineering in France, violent labor riots in London, and brutal colonial commodity markets. At the international desk, the front page is dominated by a single dispatch from Paris. The paper reports a sudden economic boom, noting that a new company has produced a kind of enchantment for money. To understand this, we have to look at the French state. Decades of wars have left the government drowning in debt, prompting a radical financial experiment. A private corporation, the India Company, has proposed taking over the entirety of the French national debt. This diagram illustrates the scale of the swap. They're exchanging 1.2 billion livres of state debt for a consolidated 3% interest loan to the king. By absorbing that liability, the company is allowed to print its own paper money, backed by the perceived value of its corporate shares. The market reaction is euphoric. The printer in Philadelphia notes the stock has advanced to 900, and the directors boast that their stock will advance 1,000. Colonial readers in 1720 are getting updates on the exact mechanics of what history will call the Mississippi Bubble. But because news takes months to cross the Atlantic, the people reading this paper have no way of knowing that the system they are tracking is already destined to collapse. This engraving captures the frenzy of the moment across Europe as thousands of citizens gamble their savings on these new shares. The sterile numbers on the front page mask a frantic reality. These are the first-hand reports of a public chasing a purely speculative enchantment. In this single column, readers in the American colonies were tracking the same volatile financial shifts that were currently destabilizing the largest economy in Europe. Turning to page 2, we hit the European desk. This column heading exposes the data latency of the era. It is January in Philadelphia, but the dispatch is dated September 5th. This news took exactly 4 months to cross the ocean via ship. The news out of London involves massive civil unrest and violence in the streets. The instigators are the weavers. These domestic English textile workers are facing a threat to their livelihoods from a shifting global market. The cause of the panic is calico, a cheap, brightly printed cotton fabric imported from India by global corporations. English weavers could not compete with this cheap global supply chain. In response, they began violently targeting anyone seen wearing the imported fabric in public. The paper describes their tactics, noting that the mobs tore all the calico clothes and threw aquafortis on them. Aquafortis is nitric acid. It is a method used to instantly destroy the imported fabric right off a person's back. This is the raw human friction of early globalization, a violent clash over trade reported as local news an ocean away. Scanning further down the second page, we reach the local desk and the domestic economic data. This section functions as an 18th century financial ticker, giving the exact market value of daily survival in the colonies. Flour is at 9 shillings and 8 pence, middling bread at 14 shillings, rum at 4 shillings and 9 pence a gallon. Directly beneath the rum and wheat prices, the paper documents a much darker economic reality. This advertisement provides a primary source record of the human cost that underwrote the colonial economy. The text details a runaway slave, identifying the Virginian slave owner, Colonel Philip Ludwell, and the man who escaped, a mulatto named Fobney. The paper notes Fobney is aged about 22 years, recording a life through the lens of a lost asset. The physical description serves as evidence of systemic, legalized violence, noting that he has small holes punched in the upper part of each ear. A bounty is placed on Fobney's capture for £5. This price tag on human freedom is listed directly adjacent to the price of wheat. This jarring layout macroeconomics, commodity prices, and human bounties, all sharing the same column space, encapsulates the cold calculus of the 18th century transatlantic economy. Stepping back from these details, we can see the newspaper as a holistic manufactured product. This global update was made possible by one printer, Andrew Bradford, who gathered, translated, and painstakingly typeset this data by hand. The final block of text on the page reveals the economic model keeping the service alive. It is a subscription pitch, charging 10 shillings a year in exchange for an impartial account of transactions in the several states of Europe, America. This map shows the distribution network listed in the ad. Bradford had agents in New York, Maryland, Virginia, Rhode Island, and Boston, indicating a widespread appetite for global news in the colonies. In a single edition, we have traveled from Parisian banking schemes to London acid attacks, and finally to the reality of Virginia plantations. The 18th century was a sophisticated, interconnected global system. Information, packaged, printed, and sold, was the crucial glue holding it together.
The Daily Dispatch, history in print.